Hello and welcome to a special election edition of the MPP Insider. I'm Mike Mino. Let's get things started with a trip down the road to regulation. This upcoming Tuesday, November 2nd, has the potential to be a huge historic day in the movement to end marijuana prohibition. As you all know, Californians will be voting on Proposition 19, the ballot measure that could make marijuana legal for all adults in the Golden State. There's been a lot of promising developments. The polls are still neck and neck, but some big cash infusions the week before, as well as a new TV ad that the Yes on 19 campaign is airing, is giving a lot of hope to people all across the country that California might be the first state to overturn marijuana prohibition. But of course, California is not the only state with marijuana initiatives on the ballot. Remember, we have Arizona and South Dakota voting on medical marijuana initiatives, so they could have potentially 16 medical marijuana states by next week. We also have Oregon, which already has a medical marijuana law, voting on dispensaries. So voters in all those states need to remember to turn out. But more than that, in two states, Vermont and Connecticut, we have candidates for governor who are campaigning with the position that they think marijuana should be decriminalized in their states. In Vermont, we have Democrat Peter Shumlin, who's running a race against Republican Brian Doobie. And in Connecticut, we also have Democrat Dannel Malloy. Now, both these guys are looking pretty promising in the polls, but we don't know for sure. If you live in either of those states and want to see marijuana policy advance in your state, vote for Shumlin in Vermont, vote for Malloy in Connecticut. Both of them have said they think small amounts of marijuana should be decriminalized. We can just make them civil infractions, punished by a $100 fine. It's what we have in Massachusetts and California and about 12 other states across the country. It would just be a huge step forward and send a message to the rest of the country on Election Day that, hey, Americans everywhere want to see marijuana laws change. There's also a lot of local initiatives in states all across the country, especially California, Colorado, and Massachusetts. So make sure to check out your local ballot if you're voting in towns in those states and read the initiatives carefully. Some of them are simply referendums on marijuana policy to suggest greater reforms to your state. Others, especially those in Colorado and California, are moratoriums on medical marijuana. So we want to vote against moratoriums because we want medical marijuana to be able to thrive wherever the state says it's legal. We don't want towns to have to shut down dispensaries. And then there are also some laws that would allow medical marijuana to be taxed, bring in much needed tax revenue to local coffers. So remember to pay attention carefully to those ballots if you live in one of those states. If you need to see more details about those local elections, you can check them out on our website at mpp.org. Also, as we're getting closer to Election Day, please remember to pay attention to our social networking sites. You can check MPP out on Facebook and also on Twitter at marijuana policy. We're planning some Twitter blasts for next week, trying to remind voters in all those states to come out and support marijuana policy reform no matter where you live. There are ways you can help. We also have links on our blog, blog.mpp.org, to a phone database where if you don't live in a state that has marijuana on the ballot, you can call voters in a state that does and encourage them to vote for marijuana reform. So there are ways to help no matter where you live. There is a lot riding on November 2nd. The entire nation is watching. We need to send a really strong message that our marijuana laws need to change, and when's a better time to start than now? And I think that's going to do it for this episode of the MPP Insider. Thanks as always for watching, and we will be back with you after Election Day, hopefully with some historic and positive results. Thanks.